5 Worst iPhone of All Time. The first generation iPhone was introduced by Apple in 2007, and since then, we've come a long way, as evidenced by the iPhone 14 lineup that was released in 2022. In the past 15 years, there have been a total of 38 different iPhone models released, and Apple promises to continue this trend. But even though the iPhone is fantastic in almost every way, it will never be flawless. Some iPhone models are undeniably successful, while others have been a complete bust. The following are the 5 iPhone models that have been ranked as the worst of all time, along with an explanation of how they earned this distinction. Number 5. Apple's iPhone 4. The original iPhone, the iPhone 3G, and the iPhone 3GS all featured rounded corners, but the iPhone 4 deviated from that aesthetic in favor of a more angular appearance. On the iPhone 4, the sides and corners were made of stainless steel and were flat, giving it a wonderful appearance. But Apple also relocated the cellular antenna to the outside via the stainless steel frame, and when you held it in your hand naturally, if I may add, it would cover the antenna, resulting in considerable signal loss. Apple also moved the antenna to the outside via the stainless steel frame. This became such a big matter that Steve Jobs had to make a special announcement to discuss the issue, and he eventually told everyone who had the phone that they were holding it incorrectly. The majority of customers were not pleased with this, and eventually, Apple conceded that there was a problem with the design of the product, and issued complimentary bumper cases to assist alleviate the problem. Consequently, even though the iPhone 4 included game-changing new technologies, such as the Retina display and a camera with 5 megapixels, it was also plagued with the issue known as antenna gate. In the end, what use is an iPhone if you are unable to make phone calls with it due to the way you are holding it? Number 4. Apple iPhone 5C. Apple is not known for being inexpensive. If there is one thing the company is recognized for, it is this. Unfortuitously, the iPhone 5C was exactly like that, and it went against everything that the corporation stands for as a whole. The bright and colorful polycarbonate plastic exterior of the iPhone 5C is proof that it was designed to be a budget-friendly choice. The iPhone 5C was released simultaneously with the iPhone 5S. It was an effort to make the gadget more fun and appealing to a wider audience, and these neon hues were part of that effort. The iPhone 5C was unapologetically plastic, as Apple put it in a statement. However, while being advertised as a more budget-friendly iPhone, its starting price was $549, which was just $100 cheaper than the price of the flagship iPhone 5S. You could acquire the iPhone 5S, which has a better build quality, a premium feel. The iPhone 5C felt flimsy owing to the plastic, a Touch ID sensor, greater storage, burst mode photos, and even more features, for just $100 more than the iPhone 5C. Not to mention the very repulsive cases that were designed for the iPhone 5C. You know, the cases that have holes in them, mixed with bright colors to contrast with the brilliant hues of the plastic back of the iPhone 5C. In my opinion, they were on par with Crocs when it came to iPhone cases. It is not surprising that the iPhone 5C was such a commercial failure given all of the poor design decisions that were made with it. Seriously, what was Apple thinking when they released that? Number 3. Apple's iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. A new era of iPhone design began with the release of the iPhone 6, much as it did with the iPhone 4. Apple products no longer have flat sides or edges since the company opted instead for rounded corners, curves, and thinner profiles. Also, don't forget about the antenna lines that were visible on the back and sides of the device. They stood out like a sore thumb. However, a new scandal known as bend gate emerged as a result of Apple's pursuit of the thinnest possible smartphone. Because it was made out of 6000 class aluminum, the iPhone 6 was designed to be both thin and lightweight. However, it lacked support around the frame, particularly around the buttons that were on the edge. The fact that owners of the iPhone 6 were able to exert enough force to bend the chassis just by holding the handset in their pockets while seated did not take owners of the gadget very long to figure out. Unfortunately, unlike other materials like plastic, aluminum does not spring back into shape after being bent. Other materials include the fact that Apple was aware that this would become an issue but went ahead and released the iPhone 6. An iPhone 6 Plus in their current state is a stunning turn of events. After conducting their tests, Apple engineers determined that the iPhone 6 had a 3.3 times more likelihood of bending than its predecessor, the iPhone 5S, and that the iPhone 6 Plus had a 7.2 times greater likelihood of bending than its predecessor. In addition to this, the technical specifications of the iPhone 6 were not particularly spectacular, particularly after the release of the iPhone 6s. Even though iterative improvements are the norm during S years, the rear camera on the iPhone 6s was upgraded to 12 megapixels from 8 megapixels, while the front camera was upgraded to 5 megapixels from 1.2 megapixels. Both of these changes are fairly substantial. Number 2, an Apple iPhone SE, 2022. The first generation of the iPhone SE was remarkable and catered to a vocal subset of customers who yearned for a more compact iPhone that could be operated with just one hand. The 4-inch screen size was virtually ideal, and it was truly the end of an era when it was introduced. Apple brought back the iPhone SE in 2020 with the second generation. But instead of having that classic 4-inch display, the iPhone SE was a bit of a Franken phone. It recycled the chassis of the iPhone 8 but had the A13 Bionic chip from the iPhone 11 series, which also allowed it to use a single lens for portrait mode images like the iPhone XS and iPhone XR do. In other words, the iPhone SE was a bit of a Franken phone. However, it was reasonably priced at $399, which made it a genuine iPhone that was kind to one's wallet. Even though the iPhone SE 3rd generation isn't a terrible piece of hardware, it simply seems superfluous. At least the model of the 2nd generation was appealing due to the value that it delivered, but the iPhone SE 2022 just does not have the same value considering the price increase. Additionally, the body is identical to that of the iPhone 8, and the only new features are the A15 processor and 5G connectivity. Number 1, iPhone 14 Plus. The iPhone 12 and iPhone 13 product lines were fantastic since they offered something for everyone, including those individuals who were interested in purchasing a more compact iPhone. However, with the release of the iPhone 14, Apple decided to discontinue production of the 5.4-inch small model and instead reintroduced the Plus model as a 6.7-inch monster. Those who prefer more compact handsets are now only able to choose between 2 iPhone models, with a screen size of 6.1 inches, the iPhone 14 or the iPhone 14 Pro. The iPhone 14 Pro Max, which has a display size of 6.7 inches, is still available, and Apple has also introduced the iPhone 14 Plus. I just don't have enough information to make sense of it. At the very least, the Mini. It was helpful for people who want a smaller screen because it was less expensive than the base iPhone 12 or iPhone 13 model. However, the starting price of an iPhone 14 is $799, while the starting price of an iPhone 14 Plus is $899. You can upgrade to the iPhone 14 Pro for an additional $100 than that. And for an additional $200, you can have the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which is already the best option when it comes to larger phones. How did you like the video? Do you like it? Leave your valuable comments in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube.